gleaning support from gains in the Chicago soy complex and from other edible oils. The November contract is up $11.90 at $924 per ton. The January contract rises $9.80 at $907.40 per ton. Support is also coming from the Prairie weather forecast, which has most of the region remaining hot and dry throughout the weekend. The northern growing areas of Alberta will cool and receive rain. The Saskatchewan Crop Report says the province's crops are struggling, and with its canola at only 18% good to excellent condition. The heat and drought continue to take a toll on all crops and soil conditions. The Canadian dollar is lower, with the loonie at 79.37 US cents compared to Thursday's close of 79.54. The Canadian Grain Commission reports producer deliveries of canola for the week ending July 11th are down 3% at 188,000 tons. Canola exports tumble 78% at 20,000 tons, and domestic usage drops 13% at 159,000 tons. The United States Department of Agriculture reports a private sale of 134,000 tons of soft red winter wheat to China. Delivery will be during the 2021-22 marketing year. There will be more rains for the U.S. Eastern Corn Belt over the weekend. Temperatures across the country are expected to push above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The U.S. Drought Monitor says almost 56% of the country is in some state of drought. That includes nearly 3/4 of the plains. On the other side of the Atlantic, heavy rains are causing flooding in Belgium, France, and Germany, which are threatening crops. In Russia, hot and dry weather is cutting into its wheat crop. Rounding off prices at the Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures are stronger on Friday. The November contract jumped 16 cents at $13.96 per bushel. August soy oil is up more than 0.8 of a cent at 68.16 U.S. cents per pound. August soy meal rises $2.30 at $364.90 per short ton. Corn futures are higher on Friday. The September contract is up a penny at $5.65.5 per bushel. Chicago oats are steady to higher, with the September contract up 2 cents at $4.40. Wheat futures are stronger on Friday. Chicago September gains 19.5 cents at $6.91.5. Kansas City September rises 14 cents at $6.54.5. And Minneapolis September jumps 22 cents at $9.16. That's a look at the ICE futures and the Chicago markets for Friday morning, July 16th. For Markets Farm in Winnipeg, I'm Glenn Halleck.
The demands and long days of the harvest season are ahead. So now's the time to get the equipment you need to work more productively and harvest more savings too. Visit Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John during New Holland Harvest Days for more ways to work your best and save. You'll find great deals on select New Holland tractors, hay tools, and harvesting equipment, including 0% financing and cash back. Stop by Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John today for details. But hurry, Harvest Days end September 30th, 2021.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome to the show. Later on, we'll be chatting with Hassan Kontar, an author and activist who spent 7 months living in an airport in Malaysia in 2018. Since then, he's made his way to Canada, and he's got quite an incredible story to tell, both about living in the airport and coming to Canada and what he's been up to since then. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be in about 15 minutes' time. But first, the BC government announced earlier this week that they are partnering with the Salvation Army to build a new housing facility in Fort St. John to help support homeless people. To tell us more about that project, we're joined now by Fort St. John Salvation Army Executive Director Jared Braun. Jared, welcome back to Moose Talks.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks, Doug.
I was just saying to you before the show, you're the first in-person live Moose Talks guest we've had in a year and a half. So
it's so good to be here and to be here in person. I'm excited about it.
Now, speaking of that, of course, we weren't able to do live interviews for a long time due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I thought since it's been a bit of a while since we've been able to have a chat, we kind of start with how things are at the Salvation Army. I know other institutions in this town have seen a lot more people accessing their services because people lost their jobs. It's been a really hard time. Have you seen this sort of same influx of people using the Salvation Army to kind of get through a tough time right now?
Yeah, it definitely was a very busy season. Particularly, we saw it, in our food bank and at our Northern Center of Hope, our emergency shelter. Just people needing the supports because of all the different impacts with economy and mental health and all the different things that came that were repercussions of COVID. But our community has just really stepped up. Our staff has done a phenomenal job, and it's been really neat to see how we've been in a prime place to be able to support those needs. And we were just so excited last week, as the government restrictions lifted, to be able to begin welcoming people back into the food bank and the drop-in center, and just to see that community aspect being able to be re-engaged. It almost seems like we've had a busier season in the food bank, because for some people it was awkward before, where they had to line up and so on. Now they could come in and receive personal service and attention, and that's been really encouraging to see.
I see. So have you guys been delivering supplies to people essentially, or doing it one at a time to kind of keep COVID safe?
Yeah, so we weren't able to have people come into the drop-in center, so they had to come in one at a time or by appointments. And for people that were unable to, we were able to offer some deliveries with volunteer supports, so that people were still getting the food and the essential items they needed. So it made some logistical challenges, but we managed quite well.
Okay. I did want to make sure we spend a lot of time talking about this, because this is a pretty big deal. The BC government saying you guys, in partnership with you, are going to build this brand new housing project to help the vulnerable population here in Fort St. John. Why we start off, why don't you tell us a bit about it for people who don't know what's kind of going up and who it's going to help?
Yeah, so we're so honored that BC Housing would trust us to work together on this project. And as anybody who's familiar with the Salvation Army in Fort St. John knows, that we've been active and involved in serving our homeless and most vulnerable populations in the community for quite a long time. The Northern Center of Hope, which is our existing emergency shelter and transitional low barrier housing program that's behind the Scotia Bank on 99th Avenue. We've been running that since 2014. Even before that, we had emergency shelter services where the existing food bank is now. And so we have a long history with that. And the Northern Center of Hope, the sheltering facilities we do now, that is as well a partnership with BC Housing, where they provide the operating budget and we are the operators to run it. The building and land is co-owned between the Salvation Army and BC Housing. So we have this great relationship that's been going on for a long time already, and this was the natural next step. As we see the growing needs in the community, as the community grows, there's a lot of positive things that come with that, but then there's the growing challenges as well. And so it was time for there to be kind of the next piece, the next solution, in order to to fight the homeless situation that's been developing as well. And so by partnering with BC Housing and them committing to funding the building and the operating of this new 42 units building, we were just very excited to carry on that relationship and grow what we've already been doing.
Was this, and I don't know if you can answer this, because obviously the process for this started with your predecessor, but the need for this, how was it identified? Was it based upon, we know we already have this many people who are generally in town who happen to be homeless who need this, or was it anticipating Fort St. John's getting larger? Unemployment right now is basically negative numbers because people are kind of coming back. It's a growing city. We're going to need this because as the city grows, the homeless population grows with it.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think some of it is forecasting and seeing how the community will continue to grow and want to be proactive and make sure that there is affordable space. But part of that is the other piece, that there's been an ongoing demand for affordable housing. And the unique piece we combine here is that it's supportive, affordable housing. And so people that have barriers to traditional affordable rental suites and so on, they're left with very little options. There are great community organizations that are working with people to get them into affordable housing, but even some of those options, as limited as they are just not suitable for everybody. And so we are able to add in a piece that is really non-existent at this point, that will kind of alleviate that affordable housing piece for others that don't necessarily need the wraparound support. And then we add in kind of the more holistic wraparound support piece alongside of the affordable piece that just really opens up so many more options for people that then leave less opportunity or less reasons for homelessness to exist, which none of us would want to see in Fort St. John.
Now, I'm overgeneralizing with this, but would you say in general, is this supposed to function as maybe a step in the road? So perhaps you're in real dire straits, you have to be in the Northern Center of Hope. Things improve for you, you can then maybe perhaps move into these suites that'll be available. Is it kind of like a part of a stepped process to perhaps getting somebody back on their feet on their own? They have a job, they're able to afford their own place based on their own sort of income.
Yeah, exactly. That is the aim. Right now, the emergency shelter program is meant to just be temporary. You come in and you have no place to sleep. You can get a bed, you can get food, but you're then working with our caseworkers, each individual plans. And we have, right now, 10 to 12 low barrier rooms that are sort of that next step where people are working towards, addiction recovery, mental health supports. And then we as well, the second level of our building is our transitional housing program, and we have 20 beds there. Often, most of them are occupied, and these are people that are, just looking to be able to get the job, or maybe have come out of the prison system, or have gone through recovery program. And so this new building will really be an enhancement in addition to that program. And the aim is to be able to provide at least a 2-year concrete place that's secure, that's stable. But the long-term plan would be that, they get to a place where they could get their own suite or their own home. These will be very small suites. They'll be independent. They'll have a little kitchenette, a little bed. It will feel like their own, access to internet and utilities and so on. But they'll have the wraparound support of connection with caseworkers. There'll be programming involved. There'll be a meal program where they're able to access food in the kitchen. But most people, the highest level of dignity is when you can have your own space. And so that's, the long-term objective. And so this gives us just that much more space and facility to be able to orchestrate that.
Okay. Now, in selecting residents for this, because you have to be selective, I wanted to kind of get a snapshot view of kind of what that process looks for. That how do you decide who would be right for a situation like that to be housed in this sort of a development?
Yeah, so we'll definitely be taking a very collaborative approach. We'll be establishing a community advisory committee. And so, our caseworkers will be heavily involved in probably a lot of the referrals will be people from our existing programs, but as well, we'll be networking with our existing partners in Northern Health, Community Bridge, the Friendship Society, Women's Resource, where we'll be working together with them to make sure that we're aware of, where the most vulnerable people are, who would be the right candidates. We want to have, a good mix of people, some that are probably in very vulnerable places, and others who, just need that particular type of a space, but they might be a shorter term. And so we'll be working together with our community partners, but primarily we'll be spearheading the work with our leadership, our program director, our supervisor, and our caseworkers. We already have an existing housing team, and we'll just continue to build off that as far as how we select who are the right individuals to access this building.
I see. Yeah, because I wanted to ask, for example, in the, I believe it was the release from BC Housing, it talked about one of the stipulations you'll be looking for in selecting people includes the perceived ability of the individual to be successful. Now, of course, that's what we want. That can't be everyone all the time, though. So, and I think you touched on this already. What happens to the person you say, you're not right for this at the moment? Maybe you should be in this situation, or maybe we can't help you. What do you do then? What's kind of the step for that person, and how do you perhaps help them get to where they need to be and where they could help themselves or be helped the most.
Yeah. So that's why, we see ourselves, we're a relational, community-minded organization.
Yeah.
We know that we can't do this alone. And so having the connections, having the conversations with the other community organizations in town, Community Living, Northern Health, the homeless prevention program that's run out of Community Bridge, will allow us to make sure that people are directed in the right place that's going to fit for them if it's not in this new building or in the existing Center of Hope. We don't want to, just have someone come in and say, oh, you're not the right fit, and then have a good day, off you go. We want to make sure that there's, carry through follow-up, that everybody has an opportunity for some kind of connection. And if Fort St. John is the community they want to be in, they should know that there's a place for them to be welcomed somewhere in some way. And so that's really important to us. One of the big things that I continue to want to emphasize with the community and with our staff is that it's great to get a new building, but what really makes it successful is the people. Mm-hmm. And so making sure that we have a really strong staff team in place and that our relationships with our partners are really strong, because that's really what's going to make the difference. The building helps to facilitate that, but in the end, it's the relationship, it's the community connections, the wraparound care that is really going to help a person get on their feet and be successful in the goals that they have for their lives.
Wonderful. We only have got a minute left, so I want to quickly talk about this. It's going to go and happen fast. This thing's going to be, according to the release, open early next year, as it turns out, eh?
Yeah. It's neat in that, we're not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
BC Housing has a good history of building a number of these buildings across the province, even in Dawson Creek. They just finished up a 30-bed unit this last spring. And so we'll be looking to do a similar concept. It's a modular building, and so they'll be pre-fabricated in another location and then delivered on site to Fort St. John. And you'll see them kind of go up like Lego blocks, where it'll go up fairly quickly, but it's all designed, for the particular purpose that we have in place, and we've had conversations with BC Housing about what the right designs are for our community. But yeah, when they come, they'll be pre-built and it will go up relatively quickly, and they're a really professional, well-done facility, well-done design.
Well, it's a very exciting announcement. I'm very happy for you guys, and of course for the people who are going to benefit from this, because we really will all benefit in the end, but I'm very happy for the people who need a place to stay that will now have one available to them. Jared, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat with us this morning.
Thanks, Dov. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you and with the community about what's happening.
You're very welcome. It's Jared Braun, the Executive Director of the Salvation Army here in Fort St. John. We'll be right back to talk to Hassan Kontar right after this on Moose Talks.
Date night can get boring. Now with COVID, it's just eating out and Netflix. You need to spice up your date night, brush the crumbs off your PJs, and get ready for a real date. Thanks to Olio's Pizza, Carter's Jewelers, and Cricket Corner Clothing, you can win a date night package worth $300. Each month we'll pick a new winner. Go to moosefm.ca to tell us why you deserve a date night.
Legend says many years ago, pirates would sail the Peace River, plundering Fort St. John for endless riches. Led by Captain Moosebeard, they buried treasure all around the Peace region. But over the years, and a couple late nights with the rum bottle, some of the treasure was misplaced. However, some of the loot remains hidden to this day, waiting for the next great treasure hunters to decipher a madman's ramblings. Arr.
Grab your maps and dust off your compass. The Dairy Queen treasure hunt is back. Tune in to 100.1 Moose FM on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and we'll give you some clues so that you can win some sweet prizes, like a $1,500 gift card to Brad's Furniture or a prize pack from Windsor Plywood. To get the clues before anyone else, visit moosefm.ca/contests. The annual Dairy Queen treasure hunt, brought to you by Windsor Plywood, FSJ Return It, Wendy's, Brad's Furniture, Micro Consulting, Veronica's Closet, and Moose FM.
All hands on deck.
Howdy, folks. Buckeye here, part of the Buckeyes barbecue chain. Home of the St. Louis-style rib. Simply the best. Don't deny those deserving taste buds of an award-winning Midwest family recipe. Let Buckeyes barbecue be the gateway to your rib-cracking, heart-attacking goodness right now. Come try for yourself. We here at Buckeyes take great honor in carrying on that tradition. Buckeyes Barbecue, simply the best. Yeehaw!
Ribfest is coming to the Pomeroy Sports Center this weekend.
Who's a good doggy?
The top 3 pets have been chosen in the voting process for Pet of the Month. Fort St. Johners, it's your turn to decide which pet gets that title. Here's one of the finalists.
Theo is an orange tabby who recently celebrated his 13th birthday and made some silly faces during his photo shoot.
Vote right now at moosefm.ca under contest. The owner of the pet that gets the most votes will win a $100 gift card to the North Peace Veterinary Clinic. Thanks to you.
Have you noticed that everything is getting more expensive? Groceries, utilities, rent. Everything except your brand new beautiful Jandel home. Jandel Homes is selling homes at last winter's pricing. No lumber increase, no labor increase, no increases at all. And as you could expect, they're moving fast. But there's still time to get your new Jandel home with delivery available now through fall. Act fast. Come get your brand new Jandel home at last winter's pricing before they're gone.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Now we're going to chat with a man who spent a long time living in an airport and has since made his way to Canada. He's got quite the story to tell. Even since coming to Canada. We're very happy to be joined by him now. It's Hassan Kontar, the activist and author of Man at the Airport, How Social Media Saved My Life, One Syrian Story. Hassan, welcome to Moose Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm very grateful you took a few minutes to chat with us this morning. We only have 10 minutes, sadly, so we'll do our best with this. But as I said, you've got quite a remarkable story to tell about your experience living in an airport in Malaysia for 7 months. That you recount in your book. How did you come to live in those circumstances? What happened?
It's the Syrian story since 2011 when the Syrian war took place. That's the story of millions of Syrians around the world, and I'm just one of them. Simply, I ran out of option. I have been judged because of my nationality, not because of crimes that I committed. Not only in Malaysia, unfortunately, even in the Arabic world, countries like United Arab Emirates. So they detained me and they sent me to immigration jails in different countries, and I end up in Canada. So it's a new type, if you allowed me to say, a new type of racism we as Syrians are facing since 2011. Unwelcome word. That's as simple as that. So no one wanted me. I found myself at the airport.
Yeah, and you were there for, I believe, 7 months, I counted.
Followed by 2 months in detention jail, yes. So in total 9 months.
Yeah, and I mean, I think comparisons have been made. There was a movie, Tom Hanks, I think,
The Terminal, Tom Hanks.
I mean, this was basically your life. You lived completely in the airport. You had to stay in, kind of certain parts of it. How did you survive?
With a little different than the movie The Terminal. I always joked about it. I said he had Catherine Zeta-Jones and I have no one. bring me Catherine and I will wait for as long as she wants. So I was totally alone. So it's not fair to compare between the movie and I. But in day-to-day basis, it's almost the same. Small things, you never thought that it's going to be a problem. It become a major problem in your life. Where to take a shower, how to take a shower, when to take a shower, how to dry your clothes, where to sleep, when to sleep. Even a cup of coffee will be a problem, and or a meal. So with time, if you did not panic, if you calm yourself down, if you breathe, and if you start seeing hope, then you will overcome this problem and you will start finding the keys for them. The major problem was how to get myself out of the airport because it was an unusual situation. The struggle I was facing with the world was the question, it's not what I'm doing at the airport, it's why I am at the airport. It's so I can get out of it. I survived because I start seeing life or understanding life from a different perspective. We all hear that phrase that giving up is not an option. That's great. I cannot agree more. But if it's not an option, what is it? It should be something. It cannot be nothing. From what I understand, it's a result. It's a result for us not believing in what we are doing, not be in love with what we are doing. For us, looking for an instant results when life doesn't work that way. We need to be patient. We need to fight back. And when I understood that, I said, if I'm going down, I'm not going down without a fight. I'm telling my story. And that's when I went to social media and start posting. And when individuals, Canadians and other people from all around the world start reaching out to me and praying for me, I start my faith in humanity restored, and I start seeing hope at the end of the tunnel. So I fought back.
Wonderful. Canada, was this your goal in mind kind of for a long period of time, or was it kind of the first thing that worked out for you, that okay, Canada, you're welcome to come to Canada, and I may be overgeneralizing it, but when you were in the midst of the situation in the airport, were you like, maybe Canada's an option, this is where I need to go, or did it just kind of work out that way?
No, it doesn't work that way. Canada is, for us as refugees, we don't have the privilege of choose what country, but if we do, no one will choose any other country over Canada. Canada has a different place in all our minds and heart and souls. I could not even dare to dream about Canada, even when I was at the airport. It was not there on my radar. And because I knew that it's way above my limit and I don't meet all the requirements. But when the Canadian people start hearing the story from the news and from the media, they reached out to me. And there is a fact, and that should tell us something about Canada. I have been on the news all over the world, even in languages I did not recognize, and even local radio stations in US or Australia. And the only lawyer who reached out to me and said, I'm gonna represent you for free, was Canadian. The only group of volunteers who reached out to me were Canadians. And that's when Canada started being on the map. They discovered that it's easier for me to come to Canada, and that took another 7 months, 9 months. But I still can't believe it sometimes, because it's a dream come true. And for us as adults, we don't have fairy tales. It's for children. We have goals we need to achieve. But no, for adults, I'm living my fairy tale still. Wow. And here I am, 2.5 years in Fort St. John, and this is the farthest north so far, just in 2.5 years, trying to pay back to the community who gave me the opportunity to be here. So I am still living the dream, and each and every minute I'm enjoying it.
Wonderful. Yeah. I have to ask you, because as you mentioned, 2.5 years you've been here. I believe you started with Whistler, was kind of where your first job, where you first landed. How did you end up in Fort St. John? What brings you here?
The lady who sponsored me and who led the volunteer groups, Lori Cooper, she's now in Smither, another town in the north. She was living on Whistler at that time. I had an offer job. When I was at the airport, I applied for a job in Whistler at a hotel, and they did an interview and I got accepted. So I had an offer, and I had a place to stay at the staff accommodation there. So I ended up in Whistler, and that was not a bad place to be. No. Right? I could not leave. And now the fact is, Whistler will be always my first Canadian home, and no one can take that from me. I skied for the first time. And it will show you how life is weird, unfair, and injustice, but it's generous as well. If you were patient enough, it will give you back, and it gave me back Canada and Whistler.
Okay. So why are you here in Fort St. You're working for the Red Cross, I understand.
Yes. And we are here to help the community with the vaccination. Okay. I'm going to stay for another 2 months. I drove from Vancouver to up to here.
Oh, it's a beautiful drive.
Amazing drive. Amazing. And I saw a moose for the first time in my life.
You had said you wanted to visit an indigenous community, and it was kind of on your list of things you definitely want to do. Why is that, out of curiosity?
I feel similarity and a special connection with them. And it's weird. We are the newest comers to this land, refugees, and they are here since thousands of years.
Yeah.
They are the original owners, but and I cannot dare to start comparing our tragedy with theirs. But
Sure.
We also suffered from losing the ones we love and never be able to say goodbye. We've been disconnected from our roots. We have been kicked out from our land. And no matter what joy and success we are going to have in our new home, Canada, we will always miss our original home and all the memories we had. They have been through a lot of trauma, and we did as well. And we are still living on it. So I know how they feel with all the unmarked graves we are having and the reconciliations we are looking for, the action and justice. I know what they are talking about. I can feel them, and it makes me feel sad what they went through, because I have been there. In 2016, I was in detention jail in United Arab Emirates when I heard that my father passed away. And through the night, I could hear the fireworks and see the lights of it while I was sitting alone in my cell, looking at the phone without being able to reach out to the phone because of the iron bars. And all what I wanted is to call my family. I know what it means to be in your darkest and lowest moment in life, and that's why I want to meet them. For us in the Middle East, and this is maybe new information for you, we don't know them as indigenous, and that's the amount of work we need to do, even globally, not only domestically. We know them, and I knew that it's a racism when I arrived to Canada. We call them Red Indians. The whole world, because of the effect of Hollywood, the whole Middle East knows them by Red Indians. And when I came to Canada, I knew that this is wrong. We should not call them that. And I start educating myself. And that's my mission also now as a refugee, to educate my people back home and in that part of the world, that what these people went through. And it will also show Canada with the human rights we are having now with all, because other countries, they went through a lot in their histories, but they are not speaking out about it. And we are facing our past, and that's a good thing in Canada. If we want to move on, to reconcile, then we need to face it. And it's going to be painful, it's going to be hard, but it's the right thing to do, because we are living the present, that's right, but we are also writing tomorrow's history, and we are doing a good job so far.
Wonderful. Hassan, this has been a wonderful conversation. I wish we had more time, but thank you very much for coming in to chat with me today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's Hassan Kontar, the author and activist, a man at the airport, how social media saved my life, one Syrian story. It's well worth picking up and checking out. We'll be right back to wrap things up on Moose Talks right after this.
Spectacular spring savings and U.S. cross-border cash for trades at Ford City Chrysler. Huge spring clear-out savings on all new in-stock units. Save by 10 up to $15,000 off MSRP on new in-stock trucks, vans, and SUVs. Financing as low as 0% and payment vacations. Ford City Chrysler wants your vehicle. Whether you're buying or not, they're buying. Stop in for a quote today. Only at Ford City Chrysler. Only in Fort St. John, where customers become family.
If you're in need of sand to keep you and your family safe this winter, the City of Fort St. John reminds residents that residential use sand is available throughout the winter months at the Public Works Building on Cree Road or across from the Lido on 102nd Street. Remember to bring your shovel and a bucket. The City of Fort St. John, helping you stay safe out there this winter. To report a problem, call 311 or use the Report Problem form on the city's website, fortstjohn.ca.
If you're looking for hassle-free internet services, call the Peace Region Internet Society today. With coverage throughout most of the Peace, PRIS can get you connected quickly without the hassle of contracts or bundles. Visit PRIS.ca or call 1-800-768-3311 for more information.
Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
Big thanks to our guests today, Jared Braun and Hassan Kontar, for joining us. EnergeticCity.ca and Moose FM are hiring. We're seeking a motivated individual to help us increase reader and listener engagement. It's a new position for our company, and we are looking for the right person to help us increase engagement and launch new funding models. The successful applicant will appreciate the art and science of reaching, engaging, and building loyalty among a truly global audience, especially on our social media platforms. If you'd like more information and to find out how you can apply for this job, you can check out the post on the energeticcity.ca Facebook page. That does it for this episode of Moose Talks. The show is produced by Trey Lopashinsky and Adam Rayburn. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.
Knappen Industries and the Fort St. John Co-op are proud to present Movie in the Park. Get out those folding chairs and blankets and join us at Centennial Park